So, I'm out here at the flying field on a considerably less than ideal flying day, but I don't think we're going to get any more ideal flying weather this year. It's November in Canada. We had a beautiful day last Monday with virtually no wind and some sun, but I don't think we're going to get any more of that again now, and I wanted to get this, give this guy a little outing outdoors without waiting until next spring. This is the XK K450, and I guess we're going to see how it deals with some wind, because there's a fair bit of wind. It basically comes in a box. Of course, it comes with this. It's got 3 motors. You get 1 spare propeller for each, and a little screwdriver and an Allen key, and 1 battery, which has an XT30 connector, which seems to be becoming more popular. But it's a relatively new one to me. Everything's going to keep trying to blow away today because it's a windy day. Okay, and of course it's got your standard XK transmitter. Got everything you need to fly it except for 6 batteries, 6 AA batteries you have to put in the transmitter. I'm trying to get this the right way around. Okay, and I think we're initialized, then we'll see what we can do about tucking the wires. Not got much room here, of course, very little room. And that goes in there, and then there's a little clip at the back and it clips down on. So this is a vertical takeoff thing. It has 3 modes. Multi-rotor mode where all 3 motors run and it works like a multi-rotor. Vertical mode where it tips up and just the 2 front motors run the face forward, and that turns off and it just drifts around like that, which it's not going to do at all well in all this wind. And then aeroplane mode where it flies with those 2 motors again with that one off, like a regular plane, like a wing. I did give it a little outing in the community centre, so I've basically verified that it works, but I did not venture to put it into aeroplane mode in the community centre because I think it's going to go fairly fast in aeroplane mode, and we don't have much room in the community centre, so I wouldn't trust it. I thought it was missing bits there, but I don't think so. I think those are scoops that are made deliberately to allow air to go through. Oh, and it's got these rather nice little LEDs underneath, blue and red LEDs, which give you some orientation. I bought this, to be honest, because I bought the X520, which just has 2 motors, and it can take off like that and fly, or it has a wheel and it can actually take off horizontally. The XT520 is a bit bigger than this. Well, I think the numbers are wingspans in millimeters or something, so I think this is 450 and the 520 is 520. This is kind of a competitor for the what's it called? Horizons Convergence. It's called the Convergence. Well, more specifically, I guess the Mini Convergence, because this is smaller. And you've got your 3 modes. M mode is the multi-rotor mode. 6G mode means the plane mode. V mode is hung up, and the red button there takes off. It says 6D, 3D, 6G. That takes off the stabilization. Whether I'm going to venture to do that in all this wind, I don't necessarily know, but at least I want to try. Okay, now it has a takeoff button. I'm going to try putting the stick in the middle and pressing the takeoff button and see if that causes it to take off. Well, it caused the motors to spin up, but no, it's not actually taking off. Okay, so let's try the other technique. Let's arm the motors. I don't know. Arm the motors, then put it to the middle, and then press the takeoff button. Nope. The takeoff button really does not seem to do anything. So we'll just arm the motors and raise the throttle. And you can see there, this is multi-rotor mode, and you can see those servos working the little, twisting the motors there to try and keep it steady in the wind. It's supposedly, as does the X520, it's supposed to have a barometer which allows it to maintain altitude. So it's supposed to maintain its altitude, which it seems to be doing pretty well, to maintain its altitude in this mode. It is, of course, fighting the wind like crazy because it's really windy. Not a gale force wind, but you know, sort of. So if I let it go downwind, it's going to... Can it in fact come back up with that wind? Yes, it can fight that wind enough to come upwind. Never want things to be able to... You don't want to fly things in winds that are so strong that they cannot come upwind at all. But this guy's, he's got a 3-cell... He's struggling to fight that wind. He's struggling to fight that wind. Okay, let's put him... Whoa, he really is struggling to fight that wind. Let's put him out into aeroplane mode. Because he can fight the wind better in aeroplane mode. I nearly lost him there in multi-rotor mode. He was struggling, really struggling to fight this much wind. Oh, he is fast in aeroplane mode. I'm sure as hell glad I didn't try and fly him in this mode in the community centre. That would have been a disaster, as I thought, so I didn't do it. But yeah, he's having a really hard time fighting the wind in multi-rotor mode. Apart from anything else, when you give him more throttle in multi-rotor mode, he tries to move up, which is not really very helpful in a lot of wind. Let's bring him back here and put him back into multi-rotor mode, and you'll see what I mean. But see, well, he's just getting blown backwards in multi-rotor mode, basically. And if I give him more throttle, all that happens, yeah, it doesn't work really, does it? I keep putting him into vertical mode by mistake because the modes to me are in the wrong order on the switch. It goes multi-rotor, plane, vertical. It would make a lot more sense to me if it went multi-rotor, vertical, plane. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems to me that would make more sense. In vertical mode, he's going to suffer. I don't want to even dare leave him in vertical mode in this because he's just going to have great trouble in vertical mode in all this wind. The vertical mode, you know. Switch him into multi-rotor mode. Whoa, but the problem is, in multi-rotor mode, it's almost impossible to have... I'm going to let him go down there. That was a landing. It was a distant landing, but since he got rather near the ground, I decided... The problem, as I say, is in multi-rotor mode, you can't really throttle him up in multi-rotor mode. In multi-rotor mode, the throttle basically contains his altitude. You know, the left stick basically controls his altitude. So you give him more throttle, he just goes up. So, you know, it's almost impossible to bring him back in the wind. I could have brought him back by switching into aeroplane mode, but I didn't particularly want to start... He was a bit low, and I didn't want to switch him into modes so close to the ground, but equally I didn't really want to give him put it back up in the wind, so because if I put him back up in the wind here, he would have got blown all the way over there. It doesn't, as I say, have a throttle cut. I'm reaching for a throttle cut, but there isn't one. I don't think his battery's gone or anything. I just put him down there because I let him go too far to the end of the runway, and it really is. It's getting even more windy. I mean, it was windy when I started, maybe 30 kilometers an hour. Now it's getting up more to 40, 50 kilometer an hour winds. It's windy. So he can cope with wind quite well in aeroplane mode, but not so much the other modes. The problem is in the other modes, the multi-rotor mode is getting blown away, and if I put him in vertical mode, I don't know that I can even put him in vertical mode, really, for more than a few seconds, because he's just going to get blown away. He's going to get blown away. The takeoff button on the X520 does work. A lot of people have complained that the takeoff button doesn't work on the X520. It does. If you put the stick in the middle position and press the takeoff button, it takes off. But this guy doesn't. See, he spools up, but he doesn't take off. Okay, let's very briefly put him in vertical mode. keep forgetting, but of course, you know, in vertical mode, he's just getting blown away. So we'll put him back into aeroplane mode. Well, he did, I mean, he struggled a bit. You could see him struggling a little bit there to transition from aeroplane mode to vertical mode to aeroplane mode in the wind, but he managed to do it. Well, he's mightily struggling in this wind, obviously. You don't want to try and land him in aeroplane mode, unlike the X520. The X520 you can land in aeroplane mode because it does little wheels on the back and a nice big wheel on the front, which allows it to take off and land the X520 in aeroplane mode. This guy cannot safely land in aeroplane mode. You will break his propellers if you try and land him in aeroplane mode. So you need to switch to, well, multi-rotor or vertical mode, preferably multi-rotor. So I switched him to multi-rotor. I expect him to blow back towards me. Well, I'm actually trying to drop him now, but that was as well as I could drop him in all this wind. I just cut the throttle totally there. That was as vertically as he could come down in all this wind. I think that's it for today. I don't think I'm going to put him, with all this wind, I'm not going to put him into completely, aerobatic mode. I will. Absolutely I will. But not with all this wind. It's ridiculous. It's hard enough just to control him at all. So I think that'll do for an initial demonstration. I think it's a very fun little plane. Definitely would tend to recommend it. I intended to get it earlier. I ordered it quite a while ago. I actually ordered this one through a vendor on eBay. But then they sent me a notice saying the first one they'd shipped to me got destroyed or damaged in shipping. So did I want them to refund me my money? Oh, I see the perishing box is nearly blowing away. Or send another. So I said, please send another. But so that meant it ended up being about 3 months after I ordered it before I got the thing. I don't think we've lost anything. I'm just checking. Not lost my spare propellers or anything. That's a battery charger, but you know, I'm not really going to use that. Oof, hands are cold now. So there you go. I mean, very windy day, so he can obviously cope with wind. Well, in the aeroplane mode at least. He's a bit of a struggle to cope with wind in the multi-rotor mode, not surprisingly, and not really much at all in the vertical mode, but we got him into it briefly. I think, you know, it's a very good, I can't remember quite what I paid for it. I'll check and put it on the screen, but somewhere around 100 and little over 100 Canadian, maybe 120, something like that. I think he's a lot of fun, and but I think it's going to be next spring. I didn't want to wait till next spring to get him out at all, but I'm afraid it's going to be next spring before he gets an aerobatic outing. Couple more points. These vertical fins don't come on. You have to screw them on with little screws. Unfortunately, once you've screwed them on, he won't fit in the boat. It'll fit. Whoops. You've also got to be careful where you put those propellers when you put him in, but they do bend a bit. See, this foam case just slides into the box, and obviously you can see they're sticking up a lot, so you couldn't slide this into the box anymore once you put those on. But they attach with tiny screws, so I don't want to be taking them. They actually, at least they give you spare screws. Those are the screws they attach with. You only need 2 screws to attach them, but they give you 4, which is just as well, and they give you a little screwdriver, a little Allen key, and 3 spare propellers, 1 for each motor, basically. So the problem is you can't really put him back into. You can put him back into the foam for carrying, but you can't really put him back into the box for carrying. Unless you're going to take those fins off on and off all the time, and I don't really want to do that with it. Certainly I don't want to be messing around with those tiny little screws here at the field. I'm pretty sure I'd lose them. Cold fingers and whatever. I thought there was something else. Oh, I know. One other. Yeah, I knew there was something else I vaguely wanted to say. It doesn't really matter particularly. But it's got these nice leads on them, but these pieces of tape that cover stuff were coming off already when I got the thing, so I've just put some, invisible sticky tape over there to hold them down a bit, because they were just coming completely off, and they were going to sort of peel off in the wind, I could see, and whatever. And I think most people have noted that those stickers they put over the wires and whatever tend to come off pretty quickly. Anyway, Cute, eh? I'm pleased with it, but a bit of a struggle in all this wind. XK K450 Aviator, I think they say on the box.